Dream for this one. It's pretty awesome. This is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, honestly, since I started the channel. I think I don't remember the last time I did. I'm trying to remember. I think it's been a long time since I've actually talked about a Star Wars thing on this channel. In terms of Lego Star Wars, notwithstanding, I don't think I've ever reviewed any of the movies. I may have done in the past. I don't think I did. But anyway, happy May 4th. I've not done anything for May 4th in the past, which is really lame. I apologize for that. It's just laziness for the most part. But anyway, this is going to be something cool. I haven't done this. Big Star Wars fan. I've been for many years, and I decided why not? Let's do it. I'm gonna rank all the Star Wars movies. This is my list. This is not. This is not the definitive. Okay, it's just my ranking. Okay, it's gonna be whack. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be silly. Okay, let's just have fun. No discourse. No hate. I understand these movies aren't perfect. People have their own opinions. Whatever. Just keep the negative out of the comments, please. We don't need any of that. Star Wars is already filled with negative stuff right now. We don't need it. And I just thought we'd have some fun here. So I'm going to be doing it a little bit different than most people. I'm not going to show my face, but I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently. I've got a list or list. Yeah, I've got a list of the movies. 13 movies. I'm counting a couple of them, which are not loved, but we'll do it anyway. There are technically 13 movies, and that's a lot. So I'm going to try to get through this relatively quickly, not to, take too much time. But I do have a lot to say on most of these, and the ranking is going to be controversial because it's a ranking, so that's just how it is. So if you have a favorite that's ranked really low, that's just how it is, okay? Um, and yeah, I have not a stack, but off to the side, I've got DVDs and Blu rays, a mixture of both. Because, I don't know, I prefer them to streaming just because. But I do have Disney Plus, so I have seen some of them on there. And that's it. Star Wars Day. Pretty cool. Me and Star Wars have a complicated relationship a little bit. It's kind of gone up and down over the years. But for the most part, I still love this franchise, so I'm not going to bash it too much. But yeah, 13 movies. Let's start it with number 13, which I don't have a DVD for. I don't even know if this is even like on DVD. Um I don't know. I know it's maybe it's streaming. I have no idea. I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it. This is the Star Wars Holiday Special at number 13. This was a movie, so yes, I'm counting it as a movie. It's a TV, like made for TV budget movie. So, not the greatest. It's definitely the worst. It's the worst Star Wars thing I think that ever existed, or that will exist. It's bad. Um, what do I have to say about this? It's fun to laugh at. Um, I don't even know when this was made. Let's see. Star Wars came out in 77, original. And I believe this was right after. It was really close to after the release of A New Hope, or sorry, Star Wars at the time. Holiday Special comes out. It's really bizarre. Um, there's a lot going on. It's the one good thing I will say. Actually, there's two good things. One good thing is that we get the original cast. Pretty much everyone's back. Everyone. David Prowse, Harrison Ford, Hamill, Fisher, Kenny Baker, pretty much everyone. Anthony Daniels, um, and yeah, everyone's back. Peter Mayhew, all the cast. I think, except for Alec Guinness, I don't think he's in this. I could be wrong, but I've seen it twice. I don't think he's in this. He might be the only one that's gone. Everyone else is here. The whole cast, they're all back in their looks and their you know everyone's acting great. The problem is the script, the plot. There's not a plot. Essentially, Chewbacca and Han are going. to Chewie's home to Kashyyyk to celebrate Life Day, which is a thing that exists. And it's weird because all the cast members are here, but they're not connected. They're never together. Like Luke is in like one scene and he has like all this makeup on for some reason. This X-wing suit, and he like tells Chewbacca about like Life Day or the Empire here, but Harrison Ford looks like he doesn't want to be. And Peter Mayhew probably was miserable in the Chewbacca suit. And we meet Chewbacca's family, like Lumpy and like Mala and like his parents and his son. Like, what is happening? And essentially, Chewbacca's trying to celebrate Life Day, which is a thing now, and like the Empire is showing up, and I don't know what's going on. Like Darth Vader's in like one tiny scene, and like it doesn't even, it's not even that good. Um, let's see. R2 is there, 3PO's there for like not that long, and it's kind of lame. And Princess Leia's like at the very end, and she like looks like Carrie Fisher might have been high or something. Like, like she sings the Star Wars theme song. I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I forgot this right there. It's okay. Like, it's so bad. It's not okay. It's bad. There's nothing connect. Like, there's no plot. There's no story. It's like a bunch of these segments with these actors, and they look great, but there's no story. Like, it just moves at a very snail's pace. There's like all these weird little infomercial segments, and there's like B. Arthur like is singing a song in a cantina, and you have like these weird like like Wookiees, like there's no subtitles for any of that, and you have like a cooking show at one point, and there's the action's pretty bad. In fact, there's not even that much action. It's really like there's no action. It's pretty lame. Um, it's just a bunch of like TV segments edited together into a movie, and it's bad. You can tell that it was just mismanaged, and it's not good. So, but the one other good thing is there's a 10-minute segment where it's animated and it's 2D and it's like classic animation. I think it was done by Nelvana, who also did the Droids show, which actually came out around the same time. Maybe it was like 83, 84. But they did a segment called The Story of the Faithful Wookiee, I think it is. Something like that. Where the crew is on this planet and Boba Fett's there. And that's like the coolest thing ever because that was the first time we saw Boba Fett before Empire. So it's like his big. It's like basically worth it to watch it just for Boba Fett. But the animation is really cool, and it's really different. It's worth it to just to watch the special for that scene and then turn it off because it's so bad. The ending is really bad, where everyone starts singing the Star Wars theme song. I'm talking about the live action stuff where the very end of it it's just terrible. It's the quality's bad. The music even is pretty rough. The action is non-existent. The script is poor. The story's really hard to follow. Like, nothing works. It's bad. It's so bad. Don't watch it. I wasted like a time watching it twice. I wish I didn't. I regret watching this. It's so terrible. But for the time, like 1978, 79. I'm sure it was fine, but it doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie. It feels like this weird, like, corporate product. Like, it doesn't feel like Star Wars, which is really sad. Uh, don't watch it. It's bad. Lucas himself notoriously hates this. Everyone on the cast, in fact, if you look in interviews, everyone despises this because it's terrible. It's not good. Don't watch it. Holiday special number 13. I had to rant about it. In fact, I could do a video or stream or ranting about it. It's so trash. It's so bad. Anyway, let's move on to number 12, which is The Last Jedi. Let me get that. Hold on. I've got the Blu-ray of it. boom. Cool disc, by the way. Cool disc art for all these. Episode 8, Last Jedi, came out in 2018. I'm sorry, 2017. One of those two. 2018. Okay. So, where do I start with this? I saw it in theaters. I liked it at first. There is a lot of good things in this movie. It looks gorgeous. Probably, arguably, the prettiest looking Star Wars movie. Just visually, it's beautiful. Like, the beautifully shot. Ryan Johnson directed it, and he did a good job directing. It's the story that's the problem. Um, First of all, I'm going to say some good stuff. Everything with Kylo Ren and Rey is amazing. Just their dynamic. Daisy and Adam, their chemistry is so strong, and their performances are amazing. Seeing Luke again, uh, he. It was cool seeing him again, but his character was so different from Jedi, which is where we saw him last. Even Mark Hamill said he didn't agree with any of the choices that Ryan Johnson made in this movie, and he played it how it was written, which Luke is kind of a cynical person in this. Like, he's very down on the Jedi. He wants to wipe out the rest of the, the Jedi scripture, all the lore. He wants to get rid of, everything from the past. And it sounds good on paper, but he doesn't feel like Luke. He feels like an old man, bitter and defeated and hates everyone. It just, you go from Return of the Jedi to this, it's not good. But there are some great things. Let me praise it some more. Everything with Rey, I think, is amazing. Daisy Ridley, great character, great um, story for her. Even though she doesn't like progress too much, I think she was written pretty well. I like her scenes with Hamill, with Driver. Um, like, it's beautifully made. There is some great action. The Battle of Crate is pretty cool, although it's kind of a ripoff of the Hoth battle. Uh, the space combat's pretty cool, although it's kind of wasted because it's doesn't really play. It doesn't move the plot forward. Um, the best scene for me is the throne fight with Rey and Kylo and the guards. That is some of the coolest action ever. And my big problem with the Last Jedi is that they kill Snoke. They kill Supreme Leader Snoke. He was the biggest threat. Disney built him up. JJ directed The Force Awakens. Great movie, which we'll get to later. He set up a new villain, separate from everyone that we've seen. Supreme Leader Snoke, huge guy. He's got a lot of power. He's very menacing, very mysterious. Great. The problem is, we go to Last Jedi where they completely wasted him. He gets one cool scene, like he gets a couple scenes with Kylo aboard the dreadnought, and then they kill him off. Like, Rey gets taken to Snoke, they talk for a bit, he tortures her, then Ren kills Snoke, and then it's just Kylo versus Rey for the rest of the trilogy. Like, bro, you set Snoke up, and he was such a cool new character. Like, who is this? Is he a Sith Lord? Is he like Palpatine? Is he like a clone of someone else? But they just kill him off in such a lame fashion. He just gets killed. Like, Kylo like bisects him with Anakin's saber, and it's really disappointing just to see him get like snuffed out in like 5 seconds. So that was not good. Leia's kind of wasted. Like, she gets a kind of a cool, like, a few scenes, but I don't know. It would have been nice to get the whole cast, the original cast back together at least for a little bit, but we didn't get any of that. Poe is kind of a prick who doesn't take orders well, and there's so much. I don't hate it, okay, but it was just disappointing. The more I think about it, the more I don't like it. I haven't seen it since the theater, so that's kind of a telling sign. Uh, Costumes are amazing. Everything aside from the story, like the look, the costumes, the acting, the whole tone, the lighting, all the planets, it's great. But the story, there's no like plot. The resistance is trying to move away from the first order. They're kind of chasing each other through the galaxy and kind of jumping, hopping through the space, and Rey's training with Luke, and then Finn and Rose go to this casino planet that is so forced. Like, it feels forced into it. Like, it doesn't feel, it doesn't match. Um, it looks more like Las Vegas than anything in Star Wars. It doesn't fit. Um, Phasma dies pretty stupidly. The First Order, I will say, we get a lot of First Order in this, which is great, but the bad part is everything, like, the comedy kind of doesn't work. It feels dark at points. It's like trying to be Empire or even Attack of the Clones. It has like this dark feel, but then that's very light and silly at the end. Like, what is going on? It feels like two movies put together in not a good way. Um, the cast is great. I don't know. Coming off of Force Awakens, I don't know. Maybe I could see this going up a spot, maybe in the future for me, but I don't know. I just don't want to watch it. It doesn't. The One of the great things I think of this movie is the scene with Yoda and Luke. That feels like Star Wars. That feels super specific to this franchise in a good way. To see Yoda again was great. Um, and he only appears in like one scene, but still it was great to see him have so much power, and the comedy was great. But Luke doesn't feel optimistic. He just feels old and tired and jaded, and I don't like that for Luke. He didn't feel the same, you know? I think that's something that The Mandalorian and even the Book of Boba Fett do really well, is that Luke feels like Luke. He feels proper, like he should, in those series. Whereas I feel like in this movie, he's just kind of bitter and kind of hard to watch. He's just very grumpy. And I don't know. Everyone in this movie is kind of grumpy. Um, I don't know. It has some good stuff, but overall, I don't really want to watch it again. So, yeah, Last Jedi, not good, but it does have some good things about it. It's kind of up and down for me. But episode 8, that's number 12, for me at least. I mean, it's pretty. You agreed, Last Jedi, when it came out, people liked it, but, then it got hated on. And it's the most controversial Star Wars movie, aside from the prequels, which we'll get to. But in the new franchise, the one that everyone hates for good reason. It kind of undid a lot of things, and it pissed people off, and it just. Well, let's move on. All right, Last Jedi. Okay, number 11, The Rise of Skywalker. This is episode 9. Let me get the disc. Hold on, I gotta be better about this. I gotta be right on the dot with this. I have a lot of discs. Hold on. Here we go. Boom. The Rise of Skywalker, 2019. This is directed by J.J. Abrams. And I think for all these movies, they're around 2 hours ish. They're a little bit longer. It depends on the film, but I think this one's like nearing like 2 hours and 30 minutes, something like that. Came out in 2019, directed by J.J. Abrams once again, taking over from Rian Johnson from the last movie. It's kind of trying to restore everything that Last Jedi broke. So everyone's pretty much back. I mean, like the main cast, like Rey, Finn, Poe, Chewie, Lando joins this one. The whole crew's back together, and everyone kind of feels back to themselves. Um, and we have a cameo by Harrison as Han, which is pretty cool. I don't know if that's like a hallucination or like, I don't know. Maybe it was like in Kylo's head at the moment. Um, we get some great action in this. This is technically the final of the Skywalker saga, so it's like the end of the whole 9 movies. So it does a decent job at ending it. I definitely like it a lot more than Last Jedi. I have less problems with this one. It's really fun to watch. It kind of flies by. It has quite a bit of fights. I think they have like 2 or 3 fights on different planets. Exegol is one of them. Um, I'm trying to remember the planet with the Death Star on it. It's been a while since I've seen this. I haven't seen it since the theater, so my knowledge is a little rusty on this movie. But yeah, the fights are great. The water fight on the planet, or I think it's Endor maybe. Um, anyway, you got Mustafar coming back a little bit in the beginning, and the battle with Rey versus Palpatine's pretty cool. It is a little bit cringy that Palpatine's back again. Like, bro, we already saw him in the prequels, which made sense, but he was supposed to have died in Jedi. Like, couldn't they have brought Snoke back? Like, I don't know. Like, Snoke's shown a little bit. Apparently, he was like a clone of like a different species. I don't know. Um, the end fight is great with Palpatine and the Lightning and Rey and Kylo. I'm sorry, Ben Solo. He teams up with Rey to fight Palpatine, and of course Kylo dies, which is controversial. Actually, no, the kiss is controversial when they kiss at the end. I don't think that was earned. Like, I don't think they had like romantic tension. Like, I guess in The Last Jedi there was some of that, but it was more for comedy. Um, but yeah, everyone's great. We got Babu Frick, who's a great character, the mechanic, and we have one of my favorite new characters actually, Zori Bliss, who is one of these spice runners. She's like a space pirate. She's got the red outfit and the cool gold helmet. I wanted to see more of her. She was played by Kerry Russell. Great character. Um, everything on. I'm trying to remember the planet. Again, it's been a while since I've seen this. 2019. Um, I have the dictionary, but I can't remember the planet where Zori Bliss is, like where Poe and the group go early in the film. But that planet is really cool. Kajimi. Kajimi. That's the planet where a lot of the cool stuff happens, like the snowy kind of world where the First Order is taking over. And we get to meet Zori, who knows Poe Dameron. She was friends with him. She kind of got butthurt because he abandoned her when she was young, and she became a space pirate. And she's kind of like running these spice. She's a spice runner, and she goes around the galaxy, delivering spice to traders, and not traitor, but traders. She's great. I love everything with her. I wanted to see more from her. I think she was a little bit underused. But the Kijimi stuff, all the action is great with Kylo and Mustafar at the beginning, where he's hunting all these like Sith followers. Really cool stuff. We get to see the Knights of Ren, quite a bit. Unfortunately, they're not used very much. They're kind of just like there for Kylo to like command. And at the end, they kind of get killed off unceremoniously. But it was nice to see some other characters. Kylo Ren is technically a knight, which is really cool. Anytime we can get that, that's really cool. First Order is pretty cool in this. We have a lot of different technologies, like walkers and some new ships, and Star Destroyers apparently that can like laser planets, um, which is interesting. Lots of planet hopping. I really like Pasana, which is the planet that the parade sequence is taken, um, or it's the where the parade is, and we meet Lando there. He joins the crew. Ray and Finn and everyone have to kind of blend into the parade because the First Order shows up and tries to kill everyone, and a whole massive battle happens in the desert. Really cool. Like, just the way it was shot is very cool. Really, really beautifully shot. There's a lot of cool stuff at the beginning where Kylo and Rey are sensing each other, kind of really cool bond that they have. Um, As for issues I have with Rise of Skywalker, I think it's a little long. I feel like they could have split it in half, like cut it, because it feels like two movies put together, kind of. Um, but honestly, I don't have much like to complain about with Rise of Skywalker. It's great fun. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. I think it's worth it just to watch the end of like the third act, like all these ships flying around, all the Sith, or not all the Sith, but Palpatine claiming he's all the Sith and fighting Rey and Kylo. Pretty cool. Ben Solo gets redeemed. We get to see Harrison one more time as Han. Pretty cool. Um, Carrie Fisher gets some cool stuff in the opening where she's younger and she's training, um, and that's cool. And Poe gets some interesting things. Um, the Sith Wayfinder is kind of cool, kind of a cool little plot device to get everyone to different planets. That's what Rey's using to find the Sith. Cool. I do like the way it was shot. It's really nice to look at. As an ending to the Nineology, it does a decent job. We have some voice cameos at the end, which is pretty cool from different Jedi of the past. Um, I think the ending is a little controversial. Actually, I think the Last Jedi ending is the most controversial because it's just the kid with the broom and it doesn't go anywhere. Um, but yeah, Rey, it's a Palpatine. Like she's connected to, the Emperor, and she briefly turns like bad for like 5 seconds. That was cool, even though it wasn't that used. Um, yeah, it's cool. I do like it. It's a good time. I think it has some of the prettiest visuals for sure, and it's definitely a spectacle. There's a lot going on. Arguably too much going on. I think there's too many plots. There's too much. I think they should have pared back. JJ should have said, "You know what? Let's pare it back a little bit." But whatever. Rise of Skywalker pretty cool. I do like it, and I could watch it again. So there. We're getting positive, okay? We're getting positive. Number next up, I actually don't have the DVD for this. So, what I'm going to do is I've got Clone Wars Season 1. So I'm just going to pop that down. And yeah, because it's part of the same show, obviously. So, number 10 is Star Wars The Clone Wars. Now, if you're like, wait, that's a show, you're right. It's actually two shows. They did The Clone Wars back in 2003. That was 2D, so think Disney animation, that type. And great show. That was like a micro series between Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, in between there in that pocket at the Clone Wars. Now, George Lucas was in charge of that show. He said, you know what? This was so well received. Why don't we do some more? So he said, let's do another Clone Wars. Let's make it 3D. Let's make it more realistic. We'll have more development, more episodes, more politics, more action, more characters to develop. And that's what we got in 2008. The Clone Wars show, which of course ran until 2020? Season 7, that's when that came out. And great set of episodes. That leads up to Revenge of the Sith. But before the Clone Wars show, there was the Clone Wars movie, which came out in 2008 as well. That is technically 4 episodes put together. Maybe it's 5 episodes. This came out in theaters. Um, I don't think it made a lot of money, from what I gather. I did see this in theaters. I've seen most of these in theaters. So yeah, Clone Wars. It was theatrically released in theaters as a movie. So that was like the pilot, before the actual pilot of the show, which was called Ambush with Yoda and the clones. This movie, I think, the problem with this movie is it feels like it's edited together. It feels like episodes. It doesn't feel like a movie necessarily, which is not the greatest thing ever. But I have a soft spot for this movie because I did see it in theaters. I did think it was really cool. I do think of all the Star Wars movies, it's aged the worst because the animation was pretty. Season 1 and 2 are pretty, like, they're not the greatest animation. It's pretty shoddy quality. Not bad. It's just not great. Like, it's not polished. Like the other Clone Wars season 3 to 7 is amazing. Just visually, it's gorgeous. Like the character designs and like the worlds and stuff, the music. But season 1 and 2 are pretty rough just because they're the first two, and this movie is also kind of rough because it's an episodic movie. It feels like a made for TV movie. Anyway, the plot is interesting. We have Jabba the Hutt in this, and his son, like Rada, is taken away by Dooku and the Separatists, and Anakin and Obi-Wan are trying to stop them and get Rada back to Jabba. It's okay. I think it's not the most compelling thing. Like, it's not very Clone Wars-y. Not really. Like, the opening 30, 40 minutes is awesome on Teth, where we have all the clones fighting all the droids, and we got Christophsis in the mix. Cool planet with glass. We got Captain Rex introduced. We got Commander Cody coming back. Anakin's great. His banter with Kenobi is fantastic. We got Ahsoka introduced. We got a little bit of Yoda, a little bit of Mace Windu. Dooku's in this. We have a new character, kind of, Ventress, who's a Sith apprentice early on in Clone Wars. She's great. One thing that I love about this movie is the fact that they brought back two of the live action actors. They brought back Christopher Lee for Count Dooku, or they brought him to voice Dooku, which is really awesome. I wish he voiced him through the show. Unfortunately, I think he passed away a little bit after that. And they brought back Sam Jackson to voice Mace, which is really cool. Although he doesn't do that much. So it's okay. It's still great that they got him. I think Ian McDermott was brought back to voice Palpatine. I could definitely be wrong. I think I'm wrong because everyone else is the show actors. So Christensen's not here. McGregor's not here. Portman's gone. Um, Everyone else is pretty much gone except for. I could be wrong. Okay, I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I watched this. It's been a very long time. I don't think I've seen this since the theater in 2008. So it's been a very long time. It has some good stuff. Good lightsaber fights. You know, Dooku versus Anakin on Tatooine is really cool. Kind of a rematch fight from Clones. Attack of the Clones, sorry. We have some great stuff with Mace Windu. We got some great fights with Obi-Wan and Ventress and Anakin and Ventress. Great clone fights at the beginning. I think probably the best part of this movie is the opening battles on Christophsis and Teth. It feels so warlike. It feels very action oriented. It's very very exciting. Lots of great walkers for the clones, and lots of cool like droid walkers and speeders for the droids. Really cool war stuff. Very cool. Unfortunately, it kind of gets slower as it goes on. And I think having Jabba in here is a little weird. Actually, I think Zero is kind of the. He's okay. He's kind of annoying, to be honest. I think even Jar Jar's in this a little bit. Um, but yeah, I haven't seen it since the theater. I don't know. It's not one that you need to watch necessarily, unless you're a big Clone Wars fan. Like, if you want more Clone Wars, you definitely need to watch this before the show. Otherwise, you don't need to watch it unless you're like super interested. Like, I mean, it does have a couple of the movie actors, so that definitely makes it amazing to me. But they don't get a lot to do, which is kind of the bad part. So, it's a decent start. It's okay. I think the comedy works. I think the action's pretty great. I do think the pacing kind of sucks, though. I think it's pretty badly paced, especially after the first two fights. It kind of slogs down, but it's all right. Would I watch it again? I would think about it. It's not terrible. It's just compared to the other Clone Wars, like the rest of the show, it's pretty rough. But it's a fine, okay. Lucas and Filoni, they're getting their stuff together, okay. They're getting the show going, so it's fine. Ahsoka's great. I think she could be a tiny bit annoying, but it's she gets better. So it gets better. Clone Wars movie, it's fine. It's there. I could watch it again, but I don't really want to. It's okay. That's number 10. So it's not too bad. I mean, if you haven't seen it before, I definitely would watch it at least once. Maybe you'll like it, maybe not. It's all right. Give it a shot if you're curious. So yeah, Clone Wars movie, it's okay. It's fine, whatever. Um it's a thing. Number 9, we'll move on to the first spin-off, Solo, a Star Wars story. This one I did see in theaters. It was pretty cool. This came out in 2018, and it was directed by. Actually, I forgot who directed this. That's kind of embarrassing. Anyway, well, you can look that up anyway. Solo, it's cool. It's it's different. It's very different from the rest of the franchise. It's almost like so Lucas was inspired by the westerns. This is literally a space western. There's a lot of western tropes in this, which is great. It has a very different vibe and feel. Great look. The cast is amazing. I think the standout to me is Amelia Clark as Kira, who is Solo's love interest in this. I think she is amazing. I wanted more of her because she's so kind of different. She has like this swagger and like confidence and very well done. She kind of switches sides like halfway through. We have some interesting new characters. In fact, almost everyone in this film is new, like character wise. We have like L37, who's this droid, and we have um, Woody Harrelson as Tobias Beckett. He's pretty freaking cool. We've got Donald Glover as the new Lando, which is really cool. Alden Ehrenreich, of course, is Han in this movie. Does a decent job. Obviously, you can't beat Ford, but I mean, what can you do? We have Darth Maul in this too. He's like shoved at the end for no reason. He's like there. So, okay. We have a couple new characters. We've got Dryden Voss, played by. Why am I blanking on everything today? Paul Bettany. So he's there. He's great villain. Unfortunately, he doesn't do that much. Like, I could have used more of him, for sure. Great character, great look. He's like this crime boss. For Concord Dawn, I think. I could be wrong. That could be from Clone Wars. I don't know. But the plot's pretty simple. We've got Han who's trying to find out who he is. And we see some cool stuff. We see Corellia, which is really cool. We get some other planets, which I'm forgetting the names of. I haven't seen this since the theater, so that's probably why I'm forgetting. Probably should have watched these before doing this. Um, but yeah, Solo's pretty cool. It does have this very cool like vibe. It's very adventurous. It's got this like very kind of adventure feel. It's got this like old fashioned like a swashbuckler vibe. It's just really cool. I think it's the least needed Star Wars movie. We don't really need we didn't need this movie. Like Solo is a great character because we know nothing about him. He's like this guy that only cares for himself. Only cares about money, credits, and he's just kind of a selfish, you know, he's just a selfish guy. So he's kind of a hero in this. They kind of change him. We get to know some things like the Kessel Run and the Falcon is seen in its original form, which is cool. Um, it does run really well. There's lots of great action scenes. Some of the best I think is the heist scene. I forgot again the planet. It's like a snow planet, but they're fighting on this train and it's so epic. You got all these different crew members. I think Tandy Newton is in this too as Val. I think her name is Val. It's been a while since I've seen this. I apologize. Um, she's great. Sadly, they all kind of get killed off in that heist scene. Spoilers, I guess. I guess spoilers for all these because have you haven't seen if you haven't seen at least some of these, like what are you doing? Don't come to this. Um, don't watch this. But don't listen to this first for sure. So it's cool. We get some new troopers, like the ranged troopers, pretty cool. We get a lot. Oh, we got another new character, Enfys Nest. I forgot the actress who plays her, but that she was awesome. Just the look of her was super cool. Great action. I like the scene and the floating ship. That's pretty cool. We get a lot of gunfights, uh, gunslinger action moments. Pretty sweet. A lot of the Empire is shown. That's pretty cool. A lot of great space fights. The Falcon is really nice. We get to see Kessel. So that's kind of cool. Um, Not much I don't like about it. Honestly, like I could watch it again. I had a great time. I just don't think we needed it. Like, I think they should have maybe focused on a different character because Han Solo works because he's mysterious. You don't know that much about him. This movie kind of, it kind of takes the mystique out of Han. I feel like because I don't know, it just makes him less interesting. Chewbacca's here, very nice character, great dynamic with Han, and again, Darth Maul's here. Why? Why? It was cool to see him, but like he didn't do that much. Um, okay. I think Ray Park actually came back, so that was cool. But like, why? Um, yeah, not much I don't like. Action's great, looks great, sounds great, and it runs really nice. Like 2 hours, move very fast. Pretty much all these movies move pretty fast. Um, and I think it's really entertaining and the script is pretty good. It's makes sense, you know. And I like to see Han some of his adventures. I do think the weakest part of the film is like the Kessel stuff where they're at the factory and they're trying to not the factory, the compound or whatever, and they're trying to leave and all the droids are trying to leave and it gets kind of chaotic. I do think one of the best scenes is the sabak like poker scene. That's really cool. Um, yeah, it's great. I think it's really nice. I don't. It's just not a favorite to me because it's unnecessary. We don't need to watch it, but it made some decent money. It's cool. I like Solo. I think it's pretty fun. I do have a good time, and that's about it. If you think it's cool. Next up, number 8 is Rogue One. Now this, you want to talk about amazing. Rogue One, I think has gotten better since it's come out. I believe this came out in 2016. Yes. Directed by Gareth Edwards, I believe. And this one's amazing. This, technically, we don't need Rogue One either. This is another spin off. I think it's much better than Solo because it kind of fleshes out everything in between Sith and Hope. So it's like right before New Hope. So you get to know the story of why the rebels got the Death Star plans, why they know the weakness, you know, all that kind of story. It's amazing. There are so many great moments like this from the battle on Scarif. You got the Vader fight in the hallway. Um, you have the space battle above Scarif. There's the Jeddah stuff. You got the Death Star's first attack, which is really intense. Um, a lot of people die in this. It's kind of a spoiler, I guess, if you haven't seen Rogue One. It's worth it just to watch the end of it. Just the third act is insane. There is so much going on, like so many action war moments. It is amazing. Especially in theaters, it was awesome. Um, it's a little unnecessary, but it, we get to see a lot more of the rebellion. We get to see the Empire behind the scenes, what they do. We get a lot more action, which you'll get to see why some of these are higher up. Vader is back. He's given a lot more screen time. We get to see some new characters like Jyn Erso, Felicity Jones. She's great. She's the lead. She's kind of the plucky rebel, kind of caught in this mess, and she's trying to get the plans to Leia. We've got a bunch of new characters like Baze, Chirrut, K2SO, Cassian Andor. Yep, Andor's here. This was his first appearance. Haven't seen the show yet. I probably will give it a shot because people praising the show. Um, I'll give it a chance, see what I think. But yeah, pretty much everyone dies at the end, which is a bummer. But I think we get enough character development. We've got, Galen Erso. He's kind of the Death Star architect who built it, and he built a weakness into it. So, like, it's a failsafe in case the Empire turned out to be bad, which they are. So, Death Star, eventually gets destroyed. We get to see a lot of great rebellion stuff, a lot of great, conversations with some of the politics of the rebellion. So that's kind of cool. We get to see a lot more of the Empire. I think a standout of this movie is director Krennic. I forget the actor's name. Ben Mendelsohn. Great character. And I think in Andor he's used more. I think a few characters from Rogue One are brought back into Andor. So that kind of connects that to this movie, which is pretty cool. I love the look of this. This is a gorgeous movie. Just like the way it was shot is so beautiful to look at. Um, we get a lot of new planets, some of which I'm forgetting because I haven't seen this in a long time. But the great, I think Rogue One is almost kind of like its own story. Like it doesn't really connect that much to anything except for A New Hope. So you could just watch, like, if you honestly, you could just watch like if you haven't seen any Star Wars at all and you're looking for one to watch, Rogue One is you could watch that and that'll be it. You really don't need to watch anything else, which is great. It has some of the nostalgia, yeah, it's there, but it's very good. Honestly, I have like nothing bad to say. I guess like my one complaint would be Rogue One starts very slowly because we're building all these new characters like Jin, Andor, some of the Empire, like Jin's parents, some of the Empire, officials like Krennic. So it does take a long while to get going. I do think the first 30, 40 minutes is kind of slow, but it works. It's more of a drama than anything. It's almost like a war film. This is like the most war heavy Star Wars film. Like it's literally Star Wars. There is literally war going on throughout most of this. It's very realistic. Lots of great dialogue. I think the action is some of the best that Disney has given us, to be honest. And yeah, Rogue One is fantastic. Honestly, there's nothing I don't like. Like, it's great. Even the ending, which is very sad, but it makes sense. Um, I do like a lot of the characters. I think it moves very well, aside from the beginning. It's worth watching Rogue One just for the end of it. Like, everything is chaotic. It is insanity, but it's great. And it leads right up to A New Hope. So there you go. Rogue One, amazing. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing? It's worth it. It's much more worth it to watch this than Solo. Like I think this is way better than Solo. But yeah, Rogue One, amazing. It seriously, it's so good. Like it looks good, it sounds good. Great, great. So yeah, this is the point of the list where it gets really good. Like Like I could really watch any of these. I've seen Rogue One a few times. I'm gonna watch it again because it's really worth it and it's amazing. And let's move on to. Okay, I'm bad at counting. I did Roman numerals, so that probably doesn't help. Okay, number 7. Now we're getting into the prequels. Prequels! Yep, we're getting into the prequels now. Okay, episode 1, Phantom Menace. There you go. There's a disc. Great disc, by the way. Episode 1. This came out in 99. Directed by George Lucas, once again. And... Okay, well, this is going to be controversial. I like Phantom Menace. I don't love it. It does have a lot of... It doesn't have a lot of problems. The worst thing about Phantom Menace, it's very slow. It's very slow. There's a lot of politicky talking and trade routes and... Why? Why? I actually grew up the year this... Or I'm sorry. I was born in this year. So I didn't see this in theaters. Obviously. But I've grown to love it over the years. Not love it. Well, I love moments of Phantom Menace, okay? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I do think it's the weakest of the 6 Star Wars films that we had before Disney bought Lucasfilm in 2012. So from 99 to 2012, we had 6 films. That was it for a long time. And I think maybe it should have stayed it. I think we should have stopped after Sith. But anyway, let me get the good stuff out of the way. There's a great cast. We got a ton of new faces. Jake Lloyd is Anakin. Padme. Natalie Portman. Qui-Gon Jinn. Liam Neeson. Yeah. Qui-Gon is my favorite character from this movie, and honestly my favorite Jedi. It's always been. And he's fantastic in this. We have Ewan McGregor, of course, as a young Obi-Wan. I think he's like in his 20s in this. I could be wrong. He could be younger, but anyway. Obi-Wan's here. Got Yoda, Frank Oz, Sam Jackson, Mace Windu. Ray Park is Darth Maul. Yep. He doesn't do much, but he's great in the film. Got Palpatine back as the Chancellor, or not the Chancellor. Senator Palpatine in this movie. Ian McDiarmid, he's back. And of course, Jar Jar Binks, Ahmed Best. And is that it? I think that's everyone? I could be definitely wrong. No, that's Shmi Skywalker. I forget her actress, which is really sad. And Watto. I haven't seen Phantom Menace in a while. Anyway, cast is great. Great cast. Like, everyone's great. The problem is the script. There's not a lot of action. There's not a lot of fast scenes. I don't know how to explain this. There's a lot of talking. That is the problem with Phantom Menace. Now, I'm going to get into some of the things I like. The pod race sequence. Excellent. Everything about that is so good. It's the sound design. First of all, the sound design, the music, and the visuals. The pod race. Amazing. It's so good. Like, it's really well paced. We got some great characters. And it's really cool. We have some cool fights in the beginning, like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan on the ship fighting the battle droid. That's kind of short. Like, we have some decent action-y things. Like, we have the underwater sub scene where Qui-Gon and Jar Jar and Obi-Wan are escaping the city of Naboo, or the underwater city. Oda Gunga? I think that's the name. Yeah. I could be wrong. But they're fighting, they're trying to get away from the monsters underwater. That's a great action scene. And then the best action scene is the saber fight, the Duel of the Fates, where Darth Maul fights 2 Jedi. What? 2 Jedi fighting a Sith at once. We had never seen anything like that. Darth Maul, he comes out, and he's like in the cloak, and he looks up, and Padme's like, we'll take the other door, or the other hangar. And then Qui-Gon's like, we'll handle this. And The music is so freaking great. And then Darth Maul shows up and he lifts his hood, takes his cloak off, he whips his saber, and it's a double blade lightsaber. What? We had never seen a double saber. And he's like this really intimidating, like badass character. He's got like the horns and he's got the face paint and he looks so cool. Unfortunately, Darth Maul doesn't get that much to do in this. Like, he kind of shows up kind of halfway through, like somewhat throughout. He's at the beginning. He fights Qui Gon in the desert on Tatooine, like briefly, and then obviously at the end he gets the big fight. He dies, quote unquote, after kills Qui Gon. Spoilers, I guess, for Phantom Menace. Um, and Qui Gon dies. Very sad. I wish that Lucas would have kept Neeson around at least for Attack of the Clones, but I understand. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Very sad. Obi-Wan kills Darth Maul. Well, he kind of cuts him in half and he falls down the shaft. Maul comes back in Clone Wars. If you haven't seen Clone Wars with Darth Maul, it's amazing. Like, just the development and the revenge plot is really cool. Um, and I believe Darth Maul survives again until Rebels. I have seen that episode where he gets killed by Obi-Wan I think it's season 2. It's like one of those episodes. Anyway, so yeah, Darth Maul's here, great fight, Duel of the Fates. The music is freaking, like, peak music for Star Wars, especially this movie. Um, yeah, I think it's really iconic of a movie. I think it has aged probably the best of the prequels because it's the most practically shot. Um, I love the look of Phantom Menace. It looks beautiful. Just the way it was directed and shot, great. A lot of practical sets and filming. I think Naboo is great. I think Tatooine, seeing that again was cool. And yeah, I think those are the only two planets that we see in Phantom Menace. Yeah. The droids are pretty cool. The battle droids are not the greatest. I think in episode 2, they get a lot cooler with the super battle droids. Yeah, the battle droids are okay. The Battle of Naboo is awesome, where the Gungans are fighting the droids. That is really iconic. It's really cool. And the music is peak. This whole movie has a peak music, like peak soundtrack. It's so good. Um, Again, I think the pacing is the worst problem with Phantom Menace. The pacing is, it's such a slog, even though it looks so good and the script is great. I do think Jake Lloyd was, he was pretty good for Anakin. I think I like Hayden better, but Jake Lloyd's pretty good. He does a good job. As young Anakin, pretty good. We get to see a little bit of the romance or the chemistry between him and Padme. Yeah, Portman, she's okay. She's all right in this one. She's pretty young. I think she was like 18 or 19. She's all right. She definitely gets better in 2 and 3, but yeah, we get to see some of the Jedi Council. Kind of cool, I guess, but yeah. They just kind of sit there. There's no, like, they don't do anything until 2. But yeah, Phantom Menace is cool. We get some Palpatine, some of the little Easter eggs like Darth Sidious. He's at the beginning and some of the end. I do think some of the ships are cool. Like the Queen's starship is pretty cool. We got the Naboo fighters and some of the Trade Federation ships are pretty cool. We get R2. We get to see C-3PO, like the origins of him, which is pretty cool. A lot of the scenes with Anakin and his mom are very touching. They're very emotional, I think. Very well acted. And Qui-Gon is the best. He's the go to this film. I love Qui-Gon. He's so cool. He has this swagger to him. And he's almost like a Jedi rebel who doesn't, he doesn't believe in the Council's teachings, really. He just, he feels that the will of the Force is the way to go, and senses that this young boy is the chosen one, and the Jedi Council don't really see it that way. So, they're kind of arguing, and Qui Gon. I think Qui Gon was in the right, but I do think the Jedi Council were in the right for waiting. I think they should have waited to train him a few years, but yeah, we get to see a little bit of Yoda, a little bit of Mace. Um, I do think that some of the politics are pretty boring. I will say a lot of the politics scenes are just hard to follow for me because I don't follow that in general, and I it's just kind of hard to sit through at some points. But it has enough good stuff. I think the good stuff outweighs the bad. So, you know what? Phantom Menace, you're all right. I could watch you again. I have watched you. I've watched Phantom Menace actually several times just because I think it's a pretty strong film. Not the best, but you know it has more good than bad. Okay, I just think the pacing is the worst part, but very well done. Especially, I feel like for a new Star Wars movie for the new millennium. Um, if you hate it, I get it. It's not the best. It can be a slog, but you know what? I like enough about it to not hate it. It's higher up because I have some nostalgia for it. It's one of the first Star Wars movies I watched, so that kind of plays a factor. So, you know, great. I think it's really cool. And it's high on this list. So, yeah, I think it's great. Not the best, not perfect, but decent. Moving on, we've got seven, or I'm sorry, six, which is, we're going to the originals now. Or one of them, sorry. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. This is not directed by George Lucas. This is directed by Richard Marquand. If you don't know him, I believe he was one of Lucas's close friends. I think he passed away before the 90s, but or maybe in the 90s, one of those. Which is sad, but he directed a brilliant film. Return of the Jedi is fantastic. I am a huge fan of this movie. Now, I do think it is the worst. When I say worst, I don't mean terrible. What I mean is it's the weakest of the three originals for me. Not it's not a bad movie, all right? Return of the Jedi, great. So I think it's just over 2 hours. It's got a ton of great stuff. Honestly, there's almost nothing I don't like about Jedi. Great pace, great characters. Pretty much everyone's back. Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, R2, 3PO, Lando, and Vader, of course. You got the Emperor in person this time. It's because in Empire, he was just a hologram. Like, he was like kind of like a cameo. But in Jedi, he appears in the flesh. And man, is it memorable. Um, we get a lot of emotional moments, obviously. There's so many great things in this. I like the prologue scene, or pretty much the opening with Jabba, the Jabba's palace stuff. Great scene. I think it's like at least 35 minutes, something like that, where obviously Han, um, is captured by Boba Fett and brought to Jabba, and then Luke and the gang have to rescue him from the palace, and it's really cool because you get a lot of great little moments. And the first action scene is great on the above Tatooine, above the Sarlacc. Great action scene. My big complaint with that scene is the Boba Fett death. I feel like he was such a badass in Empire. Like, he's such a great character. Just the look and the vibe and the way he carried himself, great in Empire. Honestly, I feel like he could have just not been in the film. I feel like he could have just been written out or just been in the palace. I feel like he could have had a better death scene or just not been in the fight. Um, it's kind of disappointing because he was such a great character and then they just kind of wasted him early on in Jedi. So it's kind of lame, but Lucas did what he did. All right, it's fine. I think everything is great. Obviously, Leia. I have to say it. Leia in the bikini, obviously, was a big part, a big great moment. I'm not trying to be weird, but I'm just saying. I think that was a iconic outfit, and obviously, I think many guys appreciated that. Kind of a highlight of that scene, but I think even more is the scene where she's disguised as a bounty hunter and Jabba is fooled by her, and she brings Chewbacca as a prisoner, and they eventually get captured by Luke shows up, and the fight is awesome above the Sarlacc. It's so great, and then we get the main plot, which is that the Emperor is building a second Death Star, and he lures the rebels to Endor, where the base is, or the shield generator is, and the rebels are suckered in, and Luke is taken by Vader to the Emperor and tried to be turned. That doesn't work out. So lots of great stuff. I think one of the highlights of Jedi is the speeder chase. I think that is one of the best action moments of any of these movies. It's great. Got the biker scouts on the bikes and chasing Leia and Luke, and there's so much going on, and it's a rich forest environment. It was really cool the way they shot the bikes. Um, we get a lot of great stuff on Endor with the Ewoks, and they're about to eat the gang until they realize that they're on the same team, and eventually they attack the Empire. I do think it's a little silly that the Ewoks beat the Empire. Like, it's a little silly, but I'm willing to forgive it because so well done. The Battle of Endor is incredible. Just the music and all the chaos, like the frenzy of everything. It's so cool. You got the little chicken walkers, the ATSTs fighting the Ewoks, all their little gadgets. Um, we've got a lot of great stuff with the Emperor, obviously, with him and Vader trying to turn Luke, and that doesn't work. And so Luke turns against Palpatine, and we get to see Palpatine's full powers, and it's really intense. And you've got Vader turning over to the good side, obviously, and him overthrowing Palpatine and saving Luke's life and dying at the end. Really cool. I think Jedi is the strongest when it's the final act where, like, we got the Battle of Endor, we got the battle in space where the rebels are trying to lift the shield, or they're trying to attack the second Death Star, and it's just tons of TIE fighters, tons of Y-wings and X-wings attacking, A-wings too, chaos above space, and then you've got the battle in the throne room where the Emperor obviously is trying to turn Luke. Great stuff. It's filmed really well. The drama is so great. Luke reveals to Leia that she's his sister. You've got obviously Vader learning of that, and then you've got the Emperor learning about Luke's power and trying to turn him, and Luke giving up and being defiant. And the battle is really cool with Vader and Luke. And then you've got obviously the second part. I love the comedy bit where the Emperor gets thrown down the shaft. It's really funny, and it fits the scene, and it's really touching. There's a lot of great emotional moments in this where Yoda dies, which is really sad, but it kind of moves the story forward. It's very nice. Him and Luke get some nice moments together. Same with Luke and Obi-Wan. They discuss Vader and how he wasn't wrong to lie to him, technically. And we've got a lot of the scenes with Han and Leia, very nice romance, they kind of finally get together, which is nice. And then you've got, Luke telling Leia about their family and some of the Force stuff. Pretty cool. You get to see some cool stuff from the Empire's point of view, which is cool. And the second Death Star blowing up is really satisfying. So that's really cool. Vader, honestly, I think Vader is done the best in Empire, but I think he does a lot here. He's very intimidating, very commanding, and he tries to turn Luke over to him. And I like the scene where Luke gets captured and they kind of have a conversation about, who Anakin was, how he got turned and he can't really turn back to, good anymore. And I think it's really cool. Just a lot of great stuff. Luke is in all black this time. He's kind of a Jedi Knight now, kind of, matured and really cool. I like Leia's point in this. She's kind of, more capable in this one. Kind of has some more action, and same with Han. Great dynamic. We got Lando in this one. Get a little bit more of him. And the Falcon, where they fly into the heart of the second Death Star. It's pretty cool. Very tense. Lots of great action. Lots of great drama. Very good pace. I do think it kind of slows a little bit when we get to Endor. It kind of slows the pace a little bit, but it's not bad. I think everything is well done. There's nothing I don't like. So, Return of the Jedi, amazing. Especially like as the trilogy, like the final one of the three, I think knocked out of the park. I think it helps that Lucas did not direct it, because it has a little bit of a different feel. it's a little bit funner, not funner. It's a little bit more fun, a little bit more engaging, and it has the darkness, the drama, that we need. So, yeah, Return of the Jedi, great. I just think it's the one that I watched the least of the three. Just I don't know. I think the other two are a little bit better. But let's move on to number five. Not episode five. We'll get there. It's taking a lot longer, which is fine. We're celebrating Star Wars, all right. Let's have some fun. Okay, number five on my ranking is, if I can even find it. Hold on. Okay. Star Wars at the time. Now it's A New Hope. This is my number five. So we're getting in the top five. This is a brilliant movie. This is the first, episode 4 now. Directed by George. Yep, he did this one. The other two he did not direct. So it's kind of interesting. Apparently the production of this was really hectic. Like, I don't want to get into it, but apparently it was just insane. Just the behind the scenes. So I'm not going to get into that, but great. It's the opening. Well, it's the first one. So it is the most iconic. I do think I'll get into this later. I think it's aged the worst of the three. Just the effects. I think obviously it was 1977. It makes sense that it doesn't hold up nearly as well. Just in terms of the production, it's not as polished, but it's fine. The story's great. We got Luke, the main hero, going on the hero's journey, finding out about the Empire and all this conflict, and great cast. Everyone's great. Princess Leia, great. Carrie did a great job. She kind of has this weird accent in the beginning, and then she kind of, gets rid of it. It's interesting. Mark Hamill's great as Luke, of course. I think the main draw of this movie is actually Han Solo, Harrison Ford. I think because he was a little bit older, he has this kind of confidence to him, which is great. He's like a smuggler who Luke hires to get them to the Death Star to rescue Leia. So that's cool. Got Vader in this film. Honestly, Vader doesn't do that much. He just kind of stands around for most of it. He does get the fight with Kenobi. Obviously, Obi-Wan, old Obi-Wan, Alec Guinness. Great actor, great character. Fortunately, he doesn't get a lot to do. He's just kind of a mentor, and then he dies to Vader earlier. Or kind of halfway through when they're on the Death Star. But I think one of the best scenes in this movie, I think fight-wise, it's pretty bad. But emotionally wise, it's a great scene where Vader reunites with Kenobi. And he's like, I'm the master now. And Kenobi's like, oh, you're only a master of evil. You're not really a good person anymore. And the fight it's kind of rough, but the emotion is there. The dialogue is really well done between Vader and Obi-Wan. So that's really cool to see them rematch again. I think the effects are great. I think some of the action in this is amazing. The opening attack on the Tantive is great, where Vader invades it and all the stormtroopers kill all the rebels, pretty much, and they get captured. And then you've got the space battle with the Falcon versus the TIEs. That's pretty cool. Everything on the Death Star is really well done, because they're all just big sets, which is great. It feels super large, because it's a space station. It feels great. So that's great. I do think the end battle is amazing with the rebels going against the Death Star, all the X-wings and Y-wings fighting the different TIEs and stuff. Great action scene. It's I think it's 25 minutes or something where it's just straight action, which is great. Death Star, it's really imposing. It's a really cool piece of tech introduced. I think it's really iconic. I do like all the new ships. The lore is great. We get a little bit of the Clone Wars, get a little bit of mention of that, which is kind of cool. And yeah, I think it's really well done. It hasn't aged the best, no, but it hasn't aged the best story-wise, absolutely. It has this old school adventure vibe, which is something that we don't see that much anymore. It's got this old, kind of retro vibe, which is great. Obviously, because it was it's older. Um, Anything I don't like? Hmm, I do think the beginning is a little bit slow. That's another reason why I have it lower, is just because it's a little bit slowly paced at the beginning, but it definitely picks up when we get to the Death Star. It definitely picks up. Music, brilliant, is bombastically epic. The theme song, like every piece of music, is incredible. Um, like Star Wars, I think as a franchise has some of the best music ever composed for any movie ever in the history of cinema. Every single movie, whether you like them or not, you can't argue that the music is peak, like ear candy. It is amazing. We get the first, obviously the opening crawl, which is iconic. Um, got the Star Destroyers, great. X Wings, great. I like the Rebel base scenes on Yavin. That's pretty cool to see before we go up into space. Yeah, I got the Falcon, amazing. I also like the action scene where Han and the gang are trying to escape in the Falcon on Tatooine, and the stormtroopers come up and start shooting. Really cool fight. Also, I like the Jabba the Hutt scene where in the special editions, I think this disc is a special edition, where we see Boba Fett very briefly, which Lucas added. I believe it was like 2000. No, I think it was like 95, 96, something like that, where he added Boba Fett and Jabba the Hutt. He gave him like a different look in this, which is cool. You get a little bit of a cameo from Jabba and a cameo from Boba, which is pretty cool. Kind of a foreshadowing of Empire. Um, but yeah, that's really cool. I love the film. I think it's a fantastic movie. I would rate it probably a 10. Yeah, 10. Even though I think it's a little bit slow and I think the effects have aged the worst. Not in a bad way. I just think it's a little bit more dated than the other ones. But yeah, A New Hope, it's pretty much flawless. Like just how it was done. Um, yeah, nothing bad to say really. I mean, just little nitpicks here and there. Um, yeah, I think it's great for sure. That's in my top five, so it's not bad. It does have a space. The reason why it's a little bit lower, just because of the effects. I think that this disc has the better. I think it was remastered. That kind of helps. But yeah, great film, of course. Next one is going to be pretty controversial, for sure. Um, Next up, number four, Force Awakens. Let me get that. Here we go. Boom. Here's a disc, Blu-ray. Force Awakens, episode 7. This was directed by J.J. Abrams. Came out in 2015. And it was a big deal. This was the first Star Wars movie since Revenge of the Sith, which, when that came out. So it was a long while to wait for a new Star Wars movie. This is here for a few reasons. I think it's probably the most roller coastery of the Star Wars movies for me. I've seen this several times. I did watch it in the theater, and I was just blown away by just the way it was done. Like it was fun, but it had this very serious feel to it at points. It felt like the originals. It looks like them too. It definitely has the the feel of the original trilogy. Um, and it was directed really well. Part of the reason why it's so high up is because I saw this in theaters and it's a little bit of a more nostalgic one for me. But everything was pretty much new. Like you had the Falcon, you had lightsabers, you had the opening crawl, you've got like the X-wings and the TIE fighters kind of updated now. So it has the nostalgic elements, obviously the music as well, and some of the old characters. Obviously, we've got pretty much all the main cast back, or the original cast, I mean. So that's great to see them. And it just married like this new story with the old elements, I think, really well. I think a lot of great new stuff was added, like Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. You got Daisy Ridley as Rey, John Boyega, Finn, Poe Dameron, Jay, and Yeah, great. I'm trying to remember his name. Um, why can I not remember people's names? You know the actor Oscar Isaac as Poe. Got it. And obviously Snoke, Andy Serkis, Supreme Leader Snoke. We already talked about how they wasted him, but here he is presented as a menacing new villain who is kind of mysterious, kind of hologram. We don't really see him too much. He's the main baddie of this, and he leads Kylo and the First Order. And I think he was just kind of wasted, but I think he was great here, where he's given a little bit of dialogue with Kylo on his training and the history, and he obviously knows him. He's obviously been training with him for a while, so that's cool to get kind of a new villain. We get to see the Resistance, kind of the different look of them, and obviously the way they interact with um, the old faces. Harrison Ford gets a lot of the screen time here, which is great. He gets to be back as Han, and he does get killed at the end, which was pretty controversial. I didn't see it coming. I should have, because Harrison, he said he wanted to kill Han off early, since if it was Jedi, he wanted to die a heroic death. Um, yeah, he gets killed by Kylo. I really like that plot because it fits Kylo's character. He's conflicted. Han is kind of the one person that is kind of holding him back because Kylo wants to fully embrace the dark side. He can't do that because Han is still alive. He's trying to bring him back. Him and Leia want their son back, but he's gone. Obviously, Kylo Ren has consumed Ben. But yeah, great look. I love Kylo Ren in this. I love the look of him, just the his costume, just the way he looks and the way he sounds and the way he Adam Driver acts as him. Very nice villain, very cool. It's kind of a Darth Vader wannabe at points, but that's kind of funny. Um, we get a lot more new characters. We got Rey, of course, who is just kind of this nobody girl who lives on a desert planet. Kind of a This whole movie is kind of like a rehash of A New Hope in a way. Like the structure is kind of similar, which doesn't really bother me. That's fair. It's very similar, but we've got a lot of new characters. Poe is a great pilot, great character, great scenes with him, and he has a great dynamic with Finn, of John Boyega's character, who is the stormtrooper who obviously, he's taken from his family and he's brainwashed into this First Order regime, and he's like, I'm not doing this. I'm leaving this First Order crap. Want to come with me? And Poe happens to be captured when Finn leaves, and they're like, you know what? Let's take this TIE fighter. Let's leave. Let's go. And they shoot the TIE down, and it lands on Jakku. And obviously, Finn meets up with Rey. Poe meets up with the Resistance, and Rey and Finn go on this journey where they run into like pirates and like Rathtar creatures and Han Solo of all people, and the First Order chases them down. And then they obviously reunite with Leia and the Resistance, and the film. I don't need to recap it, but it's great. It's very well shot. It's beautiful to look at. This the cinematography. All the planets are cool. We got Takodana, we got Jakku, and the Star Killer base. Um, and it's really epic. Just the way it has this epic feel, this very epic tone. It fits Star Wars. Every time I watch it, I just get blown away by how well it turns out. Um, very different from the prequels. It's very different, kind of from the originals, although it has more in line with those. But I think it's great. I think it has some of the best action in a Star Wars movie. You've got the opening, with Finn and Poe, and they're escaping in the TIE, and they're getting shot down by the First Order. Really cool scene. And then you've got the Falcon taking flight again for the first time in years, where it's on Jakku, and Rey's like, that ship's garbage, and then the other ship blows up. And you've got the Jakku scene. That whole Jakku with the Falcon fighting the TIE fighters. It's so good. And it's IMAX. It's one of the few IMAX scenes that was shot. It's got this epic feel where the Falcon's flying, and then you've got the TIE fighter shooting it. It's so freaking awesome. I remember being in the theater and seeing the Falcon taking flight. Just the sound design is so good. And then you've got the pirate scenes, the Kanji Club, and so Han and Ray and Finn and Chewie are on the Irvana, the whole you know the scene. They get attacked by two clubs, pirate gangs, the Kanji Club and what is it? The other one, I can't remember the other one. The other group. Oh, the Guavian Death Gang. Those guys. So Khan gets cornered because he doesn't pay them because he's hauling Rathtars, and the Rathtars eventually escape the confine, and everyone it's just chaos everywhere, and the pirates pretty much get wiped out, and then Han and the gang like barely escape with their lives. The Falcon flies out of the hangar, and the one the one Rathtar is like on the edge. It's so funny. And then obviously you've got Kylo versus Rey on the Star Killer. You've got the final battle against the Star Killer, the rebel or the resistance fighters trying to find the weakness. Um, you've got the Takodana fight, which is fantastic, where everyone is kind of cornered by the First Order, and then the resistance arrives, and all the X Wings are attacking, and it just gets chaotic really fast. Really cool, just the way it was filmed. Really great scene. And I think that's most of the action. There's a lot of good stuff in this. Um, yeah, pretty much all the action is kept to the end, where they, obviously the big final fight, which is kind of like, um, it's kind of like a standard thing for this type of movie, but it's fine. It works. I like some of the new characters like Maz Kanata. She's kind of cool. Lupita Nyong'o plays her. She's pretty interesting. She almost like this smuggler type who knows Han, and she has a little bit of a history with the Jedi and the Sith. She kind of knows some of the old um, things that have been going on, which is pretty cool. I do think the Takodana her castle is pretty cool. We get to see some new aliens and stuff. BB-8's great. Forgot to mention him. Um, we get to see a lot more of the First Order. Captain Phasma's a pretty cool character. Unfortunately, she doesn't do that much. She's kind of just like there to for Kylo Ren to boss around. Um, Kind of disappointing, but whatever. General Hux is interesting. The First Order kind of has this like triple threat command where you've got General Hux. He's like the military leader, played by Domhnall Gleeson. Yeah, great actor, and he's kind of like the face of the First Order, in terms of the military. And then you've got Captain Phasma, who leads the troops. She's like the commander of the troopers. Pretty cool character. She doesn't do that much though, but she is really cool. Played by Gwendolyn Christie. I think she was in Game of Thrones, believe. And then you've got Kylo Ren, of course, who is the leader of this whole thing, aside from Snoke. So he's like the mystical side of the First Order. He's the dark warrior. He's not a Sith. He's like a Sith. What? He's like a dark Jedi, kind of an anti-hero. Like, I don't know. He's kind of like an enforcer. He's an enforcer. So that's great. Love Daisy Ridley as Rey. I think she is brilliant in this movie. I love her character development. I love her as a like. I love her look. I love her journey, and I like Finn. I like their dynamic. John and Daisy's chemistry is great. I love the dynamic between them and Han, and Chewie gets some good stuff. Some of the originals are kind of sidelined. Like Leia's kind of there, but not really. She's all right. Um, yeah, she's okay. She's pretty good. She got some good lines. And 3PO's kind of there. He's got the red arm, which is funny. R2's kind of shut off for most of this, which makes sense. Luke is not in this until the very end, which actually is kind of cool. It kind of builds up to the end. And yeah, Han gets the most screen time, which is fine. I think a lot of it works. I don't really have anything bad to say. It flows really well. It's very fast, um, which is great, but it gives you enough time to breathe. A lot of new development. I like all the characters. This is the one sequel that I've watched more than once. I've seen it in the theaters. I've watched it probably 5 or 6 times. Just because I love the way it was done. I love the story. I think it runs really well. It's got some nice comedy, great action, great look. It's very well directed. And I have no problem coming back to this because I think it's really amazing. The other two, not so much. We've talked about Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. Just kind of dropped the ball. But this one was the first one, so it has I think the best goodwill. I think. Um, yeah, it's high on my list. I think it's great. I love Force Awakens. I've always loved it since I saw it, and that won't change. I know some people don't like it. That's fine. But it's here, number 4, Force Awakens. I think it's awesome. Number 3, and this actually lines up well with the film, actually. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Yep, here it is. It's number 3, and it's fantastic. Some of this is nostalgia, okay? This is episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, 2005, directed by George Lucas again. And it was his last Star Wars movie. So that's a thing. Yeah, it was his last one, which I think is pretty a good end to his run. And this is one of the darkest Star Wars movies. This is PG-13. This is the first time that it was rated that, any of these movies. So pretty much all the Star Wars before this have been PG. This one is a lot darker. It's the one where everyone dies. Everyone dies in this, which makes sense because it's the third one in the prequels. So everyone's got to die at some point. This one's amazing. If you don't know, it just celebrated its 20th anniversary. So yeah, it's pretty awesome in that regard. It's old, which is kind of hard to hear. This one, I have a lot of nostalgia for. I have a ton of nostalgia for this particular movie. And the next one. It's like my generation Star Wars. It's like the one I grew up. These are the movies I grew up with. So yes, I have some nostalgia, a lot of it actually, for these. But yeah, Revenge of the Sith works. It's a tragedy. It is very sad. Half of it is fun. Half of it is really depressing. Like the first half is pretty fun, like adventure-y, and then it gets really depressing. Like halfway through. um, but I love Revenge of the Sith. I love this movie. I love the way it was shot. I love all the characters. I love the ending. I love all the action. I think the story is very strong. This is one of the best Star Wars stories. Like, just plot wise, I think it's one of the best. Um, you all know the story. It's Anakin's fall. Why did he become Vader? Well, it was because of Padme. He wanted to keep her alive. He loved her for many years. They married, and she's like, "Well, why don't we just leave the Clone Wars behind? Let's go. Let's leave." And he's like, "No, I want to save you." And obviously, he had to do a bunch of terrible things to eventually, you know, I guess in his mind he saved her, but he actually ended up killing her, like breaking her heart, and she died. Like that was his fault. So it is very sad, but I think a lot of this film is really well done. Like, first of all, I'm a big action guy. The action in this is amazing. The opening 25 minutes is some of the best Star Wars content out there. The crawl happens, then you go down. It's this massive, huge space battle. Everything is gigantic. Ships are flying everywhere. Tons of explosions, tons of death, tons of action. That's what we want to see. Because Phantom Menace had not a lot of action until the end. Attack of the Clones had some great stuff, and then Revenge of the Sith's like, hey, you guys have some action. Let's ramp it up. Let's make it awesome. So Lucas is like, let's put as much action as we can. And the Battle of Coruscant opens the film where Obi-Wan and Anakin are trying to save Palpatine from Dooku. And they got to get past all these droid fighters, and their ships almost get blown up, and they barely make it in the hangar. And it's just some of the coolest space stuff that we've seen in a Star Wars movie to date. I think it is one of the best space battles in the whole franchise is in this movie. This scene. And it's really well paced. Like you're not bored. Like all this stuff's happening. Like you understand. Okay, Obi-Wan and Anakin have to get to Grievous's ship, you know, and it's a lot of stuff, but it's really well. You can see all the ships fighting. You can see all the clones, the Jedi, fighting against the droids. It's really cool. Lots of cool stuff going on, and then we get to the one of the best scenes where Obi-Wan and Anakin have to rescue Palpatine, and then Count Dooku shows up, and he's like, "Your swords, please. Let's not make a mess of things in front of the Chancellor." And then they start fighting, and Dooku eventually dies because Anakin's a lot stronger than last time. So Dooku dies early on, and you're like, "Whoa, wait, Count Dooku dead? Did they just kill this guy? The last movie was big with Dooku, and they just killed him? What?" Yeah, and they have to escape, but then Grievous captures them. And then Grievous is like, "I'll enjoy having your lightsabers." And Obi-Wan's like, "Nope." And Anakin programs R2 to freak out, and then the whole bridge erupts into chaos. Obviously, that scene is great where the Jedi are fighting all the droids, and Grievous is like, obviously runs away, he stabs the window, and he gets away again. And then Anakin and Obi-Wan have to save the whole ship because Grievous's ship obviously was, ripped in half, and they have to, pilot. Anakin's a great pilot, right? So he can just close down. He can slide down into Coruscant. um, and yeah, that's a great action scene. I'm just gonna count down the action. There's so much in this. Like you got like Grievous fighting Obi-Wan. That whole section is amazing. It's very well acted. It's really well shot. All the battles around the planets are really cool. You get to see a lot of different planets in this one. Obviously, when the Jedi get murdered, that's another sad scene, but it's really well done. And then you've got Yoda fighting Sidious in the Senate. I mean, that is just some of the coolest stuff ever. I mean, it's super iconic. It's very awesome. Very cool scene. And then you've got Anakin versus Obi-Wan, obviously, at the end on Mustafar, planet, lava planet. Great stuff. Probably the best action scene because it's so emotional. Because obviously, Obi-Wan, his friendship with Anakin is gone. There's no more. There's no more, camaraderie between them. You got Mace Windu and the Jedi fighting Palpatine, and obviously he kills him in like 5 seconds. But then Mace fights Sidious, and he loses because of Anakin. But it was really cool to see, Mace Windu go out, like a boss, even if he did get launched out the window. It was kind of insane. And all the Jedi just get murdered. Like, bro, what is happening? But yeah, all the Jedi get murdered. The clones win. Obviously, it's the one where the Sith win. Like, Palpatine wins. His plan is done. Vader is Vader. Pretty much all the Jedi are gone. Obi-Wan and Yoda are somewhere. And yeah, Jedi die. Clones become the Stormtroopers. Republic becomes the Empire. Honestly, you don't really need to watch the other prequels. You could just watch Sith and then um, go to A New Hope. I mean, you don't really need to watch the other ones. But yeah, Revenge of the Sith, amazing. The music, honestly, I think the music is the best music of any film of Star Wars. It's so emotionally rich. Just the score, like you feel for everyone that dies. Even Dooku, it's so sad to see him die. Like he got his head cut off. Like what? That's insane. That Lucas thought that would. That is insane. There's a lot of insane death in this. Like everyone dies. Grievous gets his gut sack blown up. Palpatine gets his face scarred, and Anakin almost dies, and you know, um, all the Jedi just get shot down. Like, man, it is really insane how many people die in this. But it works. It's a tragedy. Everyone's supposed to get killed. It makes sense. It's just so sad. Honestly, this is the one Star Wars movie. I love all of them. But this is the one Star Wars movie that I cry to because it just you kind of grew up with these guys and they just kill off pretty much everyone. Padme gets choked. I mean, all the separatist leaders get killed off. I mean, there's a lot of death, but it makes sense because Anakin made all these terrible decisions because he's so close to the Chancellor, who of course turns out to be Sidious, who's the Sith Lord that everyone's looking for. So I can't believe the Jedi were so arrogant that they couldn't figure out that the Chancellor was Sidious. Like, he's the Dark Lord. Like, bro. Mace Windu is supposed to be one of the most powerful Jedi. He couldn't sense that? Like, not even Yoda could. Like, bro. Really? And the Jedi are just. They're pretty arrogant. But I think everything is really well done. Like, we have a lot of connections to the originals. We have some ship cameos at the end. Obviously, Vader becomes Vader. Um, Christensen, I think, is the best in this movie as Anakin. He's got the hero vibe at the beginning, and then he starts to be slowly torn apart in the middle, where he just starts crying and starts breaking down, and he's frustrated with Obi-Wan and the Council for not making him a master, which was their fault. I think the Jedi were pretty arrogant and pretty egotistical. They were pretty stuck up. Um, they just didn't trust Anakin, and that's the problem. They didn't trust him to be his own person, and they didn't trust him enough to make him a master, and he that's why he was fed up with them. He's like, I'm done. If you guys aren't gonna treat me like well, then I'm done. The reason why Anakin turned is just because he wanted to save Padme's life, but turns out that wasn't the best choice. And I feel like Obi-Wan is the MVP of this movie. He gets some of the best scenes where he just gets some of the best lines, like a lot of the funny lines, like another happy landing or hello there, or just like some of the funny lines. Like, he gets a lot of the great stuff. Ewan McGregor is the best part of this movie, in my opinion. He's got the look of Obi-Wan, and the acting from him at the end is so powerful. And even Natalie Portman, her acting is so good at the end, where she's breaking down because Anakin's making all these terrible choices, and everyone's dying because of it. So, yeah, you know, I feel like if Qui Gon were still alive, then Anakin wouldn't have turned. Probably he wouldn't have become a Sith. Maybe he would have used the dark side a little bit, but I feel like if Qui Gon were alive, then he would probably have been, a good person. He would have still continued to be good. But because Qui Gon died early on, it didn't really help. So yeah, I'm wondering if Sidious kind of knew that Qui Gon would die. I don't know. But anyway, Revenge of the Sith, fantastic action, great story. It's very sad. It's hard. This is probably one of the more hard to watch movies because it's so dark. A lot of things are happening that are not happy. It doesn't really have a happy ending. I mean, Anakin's left for dead. He gets rebuilt. Obi-Wan has to go away into hiding, and then so does Yoda. And Sidious wins. And then, the Separatists are dead. The Republic is dead. Now it's the Empire. And obviously, Luke and Leia are born. So there's a little bit of hope, obviously. But it doesn't end on the most happy note. But whatever. It's really well done. It almost feels like like a Shakespeare type script at points, I feel like. Just a lot of dialogue is um, very well written. And even though it has a lot of CGI, there's a lot of miniatures too that help, I think, make this one age really well. Do you think it's one of the best Star Wars movies? In my opinion, another great scene is the opera house scene where Palpatine tells Anakin of Darth Plagueis, who saved people from dying, but he couldn't save himself. Um, that's a really great scene. I really like the scene where Palpatine finally tells Anakin he's Sidious. Well, he doesn't say it, but he says, "I know the dark side," and Anakin almost kills him. So that's cool. And I think it's aged really well. All the action is great. The planets are really cool. Like Utapau, where Grievous hides, is great. You've got Coruscant. We get to see a lot more of that. We get Mustafar, the volcano hell planet, pretty much, which is interesting because George Lucas said that he wanted Mustafar to feel like hell, like his version of it, which is really interesting because it's a scary planet. You know, you could die on that, which is really interesting. We get the Clone Wars kind of starting, not starting, kind of ending in the beginning, but we kind of end it halfway through with Order 66. Couldn't have to mention that. It's when the Jedi get murdered. But I think it's amazing. It's held up remarkably well. Obviously, you could say that some of the effects have aged. Yeah, this was 2005. So, yeah. But it's aged a lot better, I think, than most of the Star Wars projects. And George Lucas he put all of it into this. This was the one I feel like he was wanting to make. He's like, Phantom Menace, okay, Attack of the Clones, all right, but Revenge of the Sith, that's the one that everyone, wanted to see, and it was worth it. I mean, the story was great. Got to see all these characters again. All the acting is wonderful. Um, Action's great. All the look of Revenge of the Sith is amazing. Just the vibe of it. It's dark, but it has some playful elements. I think mostly in the beginning, it's pretty entertaining, exciting, a little bit of fun. There's a lot of funny banter between Anakin and Obi-Wan, which is great, which makes their friendship, makes the end of it really sad. But if you watch the Clone Wars show, it definitely helps watching Revenge of the Sith. You don't need to, but it helps. So if you want to do that 3 times, it's pretty good. Um, I think it's great, and I love it. So yeah, I mean I'm kind of biased, but I think it's amazing. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. A lot of people have this as their favorite. That's fair. It is pretty freaking awesome, even though it's depressing as all heck. But some stories need to be sad to work, I think, and this is one of them. So yeah, Revenge of the Sith. I will have its own. Will have its own review at some point. But yeah, all these will have their own reviews at one point. But this is my number 3, episode 3, which is pretty funny. That's lines up like that. Yeah, I think Anakin could have not jumped. I think that was kind of a dumb thing. But, that was one of his choices. So, yeah. Number 2 is episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Yep, this is it. It's very high on my list for a lot of reasons. I can understand you leaving the video or stream and hating it, giving a dislike. I understand. Attack of the Clones came out in 2002. George Lucas directed it again. And it's a lot. There's a lot going on. I think it's great. It runs really nicely. It's paced really well, I think. Yes, the Obi-Wan mullet does show up in this one. I do like the Obi-Wan look in this film more than Revenge of the Sith. I get why he looks like that in Sith, but I love his mullet. It's so good. And his beard, it's so iconic. Yeah, episode 2, Attack of the Clones. This one is really great. I've kind of had it kind of went down a little bit over the years, but it's kind of went up in recent years. I think a lot of it is amazing. Obviously, you could poke holes. Some of the dialogue is not the greatest ever, like some of the romance scenes. But I mean, Anakin, he doesn't really know how to talk to women. I mean, let's be honest, he didn't really grow up with many girls in his life. So it makes sense why he's a little bit creepy in the beginning because he doesn't know how to, he doesn't know how to flirt well. Um, so I mean, he was really young when he and Padme first met, so it makes sense. But got some great actors in this. Obviously, everyone from Phantom Menace is back. Got Sam Jackson, Mace Windu, Yoda, Christensen, Anakin, McGregor, Obi-Wan, Padme, Natalie. Pretty much everyone's in here, which is great. Except for Qui-Gon, obviously. But you got some new characters in this. Um, I'm actually answering a question. What did Padme see on Anakin? Well, I'm gonna say I think she liked his personality. I think she liked um his feelings on like so I think she liked some of his political opinions, maybe some of his obviously his looks. He treated her very well, at least he tried to, and I think she liked that. Obviously, it was not a. It was like Romeo and Juliet, where it's a romance that's gonna die, but I think they both saw things that they liked for sure. Um, I think his aspect on life, she liked his adventurous side too. So maybe some of those things. But yeah, we have some new characters in this. Jango Fett, who is a great character. Obviously, Boba Fett's dad, and he is the clone army template. He's like the avatar, so that's why they all look the same. Is because they're all the bounty hunter. He's really awesome, and he's great. Tamora Morrison plays him. He comes back in the Book of Boba Fett as well as the Mandalorian, and I believe he's might be in Ahsoka. I don't know for sure. He's in Obi-Wan as well in like one scene. But yeah, anyway, he's a new character. Then Count Dooku, Christopher Lee, of course, great actor. And he is a new character. He's the face of the Separatists in this one. He's Sidious's new apprentice, and he is a great character. And he's the leader. He's a bad guy in this. Well, unfortunately, we don't see him until like the halfway point where we're on Geonosis. So it's a little weird that the main villain isn't really like shown until like the last, you know, 50 minutes or so. Anyway, Count Dooku is great. The Jedi have a lot more to do in this. They kind of sit around a little bit at the beginning, but the plot is pretty simple. Padme's she getting assassinated left and right by all these hunters and stuff, and the Jedi send her and Anakin to Naboo so that she won't get hunted. And Obi-Wan is sent to investigate the bounty hunter that they saw. He's trying to find out who's trying to kill her and why, and he gets caught into this plot with the separatists who are trying to lead the Republic and trying to start this war and trying to get all these planets to go into the separatist alliance, and Obi-Wan gets captured eventually by Dooku on Geonosis, and then Anakin and Padme try to rescue him, and they get captured, and then the Jedi have to rescue them, and then it turns out into this gigantic war battle where everything is taken up to 11. Jedi fighting droids. You've got like R2 and 3PO there. You've got like all the clones show up. It is incredible. But honestly, Attack of the Clones has some of the coolest action. That's one reason why it's so high on my list. There are so many action scenes. There's the opening like speeder chase on Coruscant where Anakin and Obi-Wan have to trying to catch Zam, who's the assassin trying to kill Padme with the worms, and she tries to escape, and Obi-Wan eventually disarms her, and she gets killed by Jango before she can really tell them about him. And then we have the space battle with Obi-Wan. He's tracking Jango after he escapes Kamino, and the Slave One and the Jedi fighter get into this massive battle in space, and Obi-Wan almost barely escapes with his life because Slave One is so overpowered. um, but yeah, epic battle with the seismic charges. You guys know what I'm talking about. Those epic bombs, and it's such a great action scene. It's so well done with the music and then the fighting. It's so cool. And then before that, there was Obi-Wan versus Jango. Like Jango's trying to leave with Boba on the ship, and Obi-Wan steps out and gets his saber out, and then Jango's like, "Boba, get on board." And he gets his guns out and starts fighting Obi-Wan, and it gets into this fist fight where they're punching each other in the rain. Dude, it's so good. And then you have the big battle at the end where obviously Padme and Anakin and Obi-Wan are chained up on the post in the arena on Geonosis, and Dooku's like, okay, let's kill him. and they bring out these monsters and they try to kill him, but Padme gets on the ledge and she kicks the Nexu, and then the Acolyte attacks Anakin. He manages to tame it, and him and Padme and Obi-Wan get on that, and then they get captured by the droids. You guys know the scene. But then Mace Windu shows up, and he's like, "This party's over," and the Jedi, hundreds of Jedi, come out of the arena, and Dooku's like, "Nice try, friend," and the droids show up, and then the Jedi start fighting the droids. It is just ridiculously awesome. We had never seen like so many Jedi in one battle on screen. It was the first time, and it was epic beyond belief. And then they get all the Jedi pretty much get wiped out. Like Mace Windu shows up with like hundreds of Jedi, and they all end up getting murdered by these droids because there's too many of them. And then they get captured by Dooku, and he's like, surrender. And Mace is like, we're not going to be hostages, Dooku. And then Dooku almost kills him. He's like, he puts the droids up to kill him. The droids almost shoot them. But then Padme's like, wait, what's that? And the clone troopers show up with Yoda, and it just gets insane. Like, everything is just ridiculous. Like, the battle is amazing. Yeah, it's chaos. Gunships start showing up, droids start attacking. It's hectic. And then Dooku tries to escape on the speeder. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme go on the gunships. They try to retreat, try to destroy some of the gunships before Dooku escapes. And we get a little bit of the Clone Wars, a little bit of the taste. We get like a little battle outside of the arena, which is really awesome. It's another war scene, which is great. And then we get Dooku escaping, and Padme gets she falls off the gunship. Anakin's like, I want to go back. But Obi-Wan's like, no, you're going to be expelled. We got to catch Dooku in the war. And Dooku escapes. He gets to the hangar. Obviously, we got that awesome scene with Dooku fighting Anakin, and he lost pretty quickly. Like, Anakin loses kind of quickly because he's not that trained. But it's a really cool fight. Dooku versus Anakin. He gets two sabers at one point, and it's a really cool scene with the lighting, which is really cool. And Anakin gets taken out, and then Obi-Wan and Dooku fight, but then Obi-Wan gets taken out, and then Yoda shows up, and that was really iconic because Yoda gets a lightsaber and starts attacking Dooku, and that was a great fight. And then it finally ends with the clones getting grouped up, and Obi-Wan's like, we won. Yoda, we won, and Yoda's like, no, it wasn't a victory. The Clone Wars has begun. That's not really a victory for us. So yeah, I think it's great for action. There's so much in it. There's at least 5 or 6 big action scenes that I love coming back to. I think the romance works really well. I do think some of the dialogue was a little bit cringy. It's not the greatest, okay? It's not the best it's not the most well-written thing ever. I mean, this was 2002. What do you expect? 2001. But I think it works. They're supposed to be a little bit awkward. Padme, she doesn't really, fall in love. She's a senator. She focuses on her job. She's more on the politics side. Whereas Anakin, he's more about the love. He much more, attracted to Padme. He wants to lead the Jedi, but, Obi-Wan's like, don't do that. You wanted to be a Jedi, you can't just leave. So he's conflicted. He's like, well, I would like to be with her, but, he doesn't know how to say that to her. So eventually they fall in love. I think one of the best scenes is before Padme and Anakin get, like, chained up. They have the kiss scene where she's like, I deeply love you. And he's like, he's like, you love me? I thought we'd agreed to not, break our code, not to leave our jobs. And that was I think that was just really well acted by Hayden and Natalie. I think they did a great job with that particular scene. Obviously, some of the stuff in the grass was a little bit silly, and the sand memes. There's a lot of memes with this movie, which it's fine. I think they're funny. A lot of the Obi-Wan lines are really funny. You get some good jokes, especially in the beginning. but I think the romance works. Okay, I get it. It's not the best. That's not the best script, but they're both kind of awkward. All right, it's fine. It works. Um, we get to see a lot more of the Jedi. But to see some clone stuff, we get to see where the clones come from. That's kind of cool. Kamino's a cool planet. Rainy all the time. It's pretty nice. Geonosis is a great planet to end the film on. A lot of the ending is there. Another desert planet, but it's cool. We get to see Tatooine a little bit. Obviously, Anakin's mother. All the scenes with that are very emotional because Anakin sees his mother for the last time. If he was there earlier, he probably would have been able to save her life, but because she'd been attacked by the Tuskens, she's pretty much dead when he gets there. And then she dies, and then he kills all the Tuskens, so that's dark. Um, I think it works really well. We get to see a little bit of the friendship between Palpatine and Anakin, so that's kind of cool. Get to see more of the politics, not as much as Episode One. There's there's a little bit of politics in this, but it's not like in your face like it was in Phantom Menace. Um, so it's pared down. There's not as much of it, so that's nice. Um, yeah, I do think it's really well shot, even though it's like very CG heavy. It doesn't bother me. That's fine. I think it's great. Um, I think it's probably the most well paced Star Wars movie, in my opinion. Like I'm never bored at all when this is going on. I think the opening scene with the explosion of the ship is really cool, and honestly, I think my favorite scene is probably the speeder chase. Either that or the Obi-Wan versus Django fight. I don't know. There's so many great scenes that I love, but it might be one of those. Attack of the Clones. It's number two on my list, which it's controversial. People are gonna hate this if they listen to this or watch this. They're not gonna like it, but it's my list, so you know, screw off. This is my list. It's number two, and it is episode two, so kind of works, right? Love it. It does have a little bit of issues, but I don't care. I look past that. I think it's awesome. Attack of the Clones, number two, and number one. Obviously, if you've been paying attention this whole time, Empire Strikes Back. Yep, it's another one of those lists where it's at the number one spot. Come on, really? Did you really see this coming? Or not coming, I guess. The Empire Strikes Back sequel, episode 5. This was directed by. Why am I blanking on the name? Irvin Kershner, who was another one of George's good friends. Unfortunately, he did pass away, I believe, before the 2000s. But this is a much darker movie. It's probably the second darkest after Revenge of the Sith, obviously. That's the darkest one, but Empire's second darkest because the good guys lose, obviously, at the very end. Um, Story is great. Obviously, the rebels are trying to hide from the Empire. They get found out on Hoth, and so they have to leave. Han and Leia get away in the Falcon, and they have to be being chased by the Empire all over for most of the film. And obviously, Luke goes to train with Yoda because Obi-Wan's like, "Hey, listen, there's this. I've got a master, Jedi master here who trained. Or no, I'm sorry. Obi-Wan appears to Yoda, or not Yoda. I'm getting all this wrong. On Hoth, Luke gets sent a message by Obi-Wan. He's like, Yoda trained me. If he can train you. So if you want, you can go find him and train with him. So that's what Luke does. Goes with R2. And they go to Dagobah, swamp planet, pretty cool planet. Honestly, I think the Dagobah stuff with Yoda and the Luke training is honestly probably my least favorite section. Not because it's bad. I just think it's a little bit slow. Um, but yeah, everything else is great. Obviously, we find out that Vader is Luke's father. We find out that the Empire is trash and they need to be taken down. And we get the first appearance of the Emperor, a little bit of a cameo, where he's talking to Vader about Luke and how he could turn him to the dark side, potentially. So that's cool, bit of a cameo. And we get a lot more of Vader. Vader is a ruthless tyrant in this. Like, he's like killing his own men, and like it's really hardcore. And he gets a great fight with Luke in Cloud City. Speaking of Cloud City, that's one of the coolest planet. Like one of the coolest things about this is the floating city in the clouds on Bespin. And obviously, Han needs fuel for the Falcon because he's been chased all over the galaxy by the Empire, and they're running out of fuel. And Han's like, you know what? Let's go to Cloud City. I know a guy named Lando. Let's see if he can help us. And Lando kind of helps him at first. He's like, yeah, I got you. If you want some fuel, there you go. But then, obviously, he makes a deal with Vader, and the Empire is already there when the Falcon shows up, and they're kind of trapped by Vader, and obviously they get away eventually. Lando eventually betrays Vader, and he becomes a good person, but it's obviously too late at that point because Han gets frozen in carbonite, and Leia and the gang get captured, but then they're able to escape. And Luke has the epic fight with Vader. It's really emotional. It's very well done. Like the action wise, it's really well done. The music's awesome. The opening battle of Hoth is incredible. I think it's like 20 minutes or 30 minutes of straight. I think the opening 35 minutes is just on Hoth, like the snow world. It's really well done. Good to see some new creatures like the Wampa, the Tauntauns. Get some new tech for the rebels like the snow speeders, which is the really cool ships. And you get the big bad like tech from the Empire, which is the at walkers, those giant dog looking things. Really cool. Obviously, they get taken out with the ropes and then blown up, but they're really cool. The battle was awesome. I like the Rebel base on Hoth. It's really cool. Just the way it was, shot, and like the sets are really cool. I think for that. Unfortunately, we don't spend much time in Hoth because Han's got to leave, and he tries to fix the Falcon, but then the Empire attacks, or they strike back, and then they have to leave. And I love all the stuff with Han and Leia and the gang, Chewie and 3PO, in the Falcon. Like just some of the action, the asteroid chase with the fighters is really cool. With the Star Destroyers trying to chase them, really epic. I like um, the training on Dagobah is really cool, and we get to see Obi-Wan again. And Yoda's a really great character, really wise, very cool. I do love his dynamic with Luke at first. It's like silly, but then he turns serious. He's like, "No, I'm Master Yoda. I'm like one of the few Jedi left." And Obi-Wan is there too, and he does some great scenes as well. And yeah, all the cast is great. I think the standout is Mark Hamill in this movie. He gets pretty much the main screen time, and he does a great job with all the scenes. I do really like the scene on Dagobah where um, Yoda tests him with the Darth Vader vision, and he cuts his head off, and Vader's helmet blows up, and it's him. So that's kind of a foreshadowing. Luke could have turned into Vader, someone like him, if he would have been on the dark side. But yeah, cool stuff. Get to see some more X-wings. Get to see some cool tech from the Rebel Alliance and from the Empire. We get to see Vader's main ship, the Super Star Destroyer. That thing is epic. It's like this ginormously long ship. It's really cool. We get to see Boba Fett. Boba Fett as well makes his appearance here. Kind of have a cameo in A New Hope, one of the newer ones, editions of it. But yeah, we get to see Boba Fett. He eventually catches up to the Falcon because he pulls a trick. And I think it's great. He's fantastic. He doesn't do that much, but he just looks badass. It's just really awesome. And he gets some cool stuff on Cloud City. Lando's great. Billy D. Williams, amazing character. He's kind of a slime ball at first, but he turns into a good person by the end. So that's great. I like all the stuff in Cloud City. Actually, I think the last act, like the last 40 minutes of this movie is the best part because everything's happening. Like it's really well done and well shot, well acted. I think it's really, really great. We ended on a cliffhanger. Yeah, this is like one of the Star Wars movies that ends on like you don't have the full story. People had to wait 3 years until Jedi. I believe Jedi came out in '83. Empire came out in 1980. Forgot to mention that 1980. So it is a little bit older. It is. I think it's the best of the Star Wars movies. For one, because it has the best story. It has the strongest emotional story. Like the romance works between Han and Leia. You've got the serious stuff with Vader and Luke at the end, and then you've got all the betrayal at the end. You've got the training. Really cool. Battle of Hoth on the space. Like all the action is fantastic, especially for the time, and it's aged really well. And yeah, um, anything I don't like? Nope. The story's tight. It's really well edited, very well paced. You're never bored. Music is peak. Um, it ends kind of on a downer. Like, obviously Han gets taken away in Carbonite to Jabba, but we're going to rescue him in the next movie. So it's a little bit downer, a little bit downer. Luke loses his hand and he learns who his dad is. So, in that sense, it's a little bit depressing, but it's fine. We're going to get back in the next one. So, yeah, I like that they used practical models, Falcon, the TIEs, all the destroyers, all the rocks and stuff for the asteroids and the walkers and speeders, everything that's like, a ship is a model. You got the cloud cars, Slave One, um, all the stuff that it's real for the most part. There's not a lot of CG, which is great. So there's not a lot of it compared to, Attack of the Clones, but it's fine. Um, I think it's the most iconic ending of any of these, and I think it has the most iconic moments from any of these movies. And just everything works. The cast, amazing. The acting, amazing. The look is amazing. Like everything is so good. Like Star Wars was great, okay? Star Wars great movie. But Empire just takes it in a little bit of a different darker direction. It's a little bit more downer. It's a little bit more intense, which I like. I don't know. It's great. I have nothing bad to say. Like I've seen it tons of times, probably over 10 times. It's been a lot, but I don't know. It's the reason why we go to a sequel. Like Kirshner took everything Lucas set up, every part of the world. He's like, okay, we've established the first one. Let's take it into some new directions. Let's take us to new planets. Let's do some new things. Um, let's introduce some new characters, and it all works. I like everything about this. I've never gotten bored at all um, watching this. Nothing bad to say. Again, I could say that the one complaint for me would be the Dagobah scenes, just because I think they drag a little bit, but it makes sense why they do. The comedy's great. 3PO and R2 are great comic relief, of course, and I think that the action is some of the best in the saga, and the story is by far the strongest, I think. The script, it's really well written, and also I think it's just really well acted and directed. I think that helps because Lucas didn't do it. I think it kind of helps that he stayed away from the director's chair, but he was still a part of it. I think that was a good choice, good idea to have someone else direct this one and Jedi. Like that kind of helps them uh, be great movies. So, Empire Strikes Back, obviously, everyone loves it. It's all, like got a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Everyone loves it. It's always at the number one, the number two spot. And honestly, on some days, I could switch Empire and Clones. Maybe I could switch Empire and A New Hope, or even go with Jedi at number one. It kind of changes a little bit, but I could. Any of the original three would be at the top pretty much. So that's it. I think it's amazing. My top five, obviously, A New Hope, number five. Force Awakens, number four. Revenge of the Sith, number three. Attack of the Clones, number two. And Empire is number one, of course, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I'm not trying to be like the guy that always put, like, I'm not trying to be like the same as other lists. Obviously, a couple prequels are on here, and one of the Disney ones are in the top five. So that's controversial in and of itself. But I don't care, okay? Fight me in the comments, okay? This is just a list. It's a ranking, okay? Who cares? Let's have some fun. Yeah, that's about it. This went a lot longer than I expected, but okay, I don't care. I haven't done any Star Wars content for a while, so I figured might as well talk about, you know, all of these. And yeah, hope you like the way I shot this, or just the way I put it together. I thought it would be a little bit different to show the discs, because no one really does that. Cause I'm a big fan of the DVDs and the Blu-rays, so I figured why not just show them? You know, while I'm talking about them. Um, I think I might do a couple other Star Wars, related things in the next couple days or so. So stick around for that. And let me know which Star Wars movie is your favorite. Like, of all these 13 movies, technically, like, the holiday special shouldn't really count because I mean, it wasn't a theater movie, but it's a movie. Like, it's a TV movie, so technically it does count. It counts to me, even though it's terrible. Don't watch the holiday special for Star Wars. It's so bad. It's so bad. Um, but yeah, let me know what you think. Do you put Empire at the top, or do you put a different one at the top? And do you like the prequels? Let's show the prequels some love, okay? Enough of the hate. Okay, the hate is done. I'm done with that. Let's show them some love, okay? They may not be the best Star Wars movies for most people, but they're a part of the saga, so let's embrace them. Let's invite them into the family, okay? With all their problems, all right? So yeah, um, what do you think of the sequels? Do you like the sequels? Do you like the directions Disney's going with them? And are you a fan of the trilogy? Is that your favorite? Do you like the prequels the best? Do you like the originals the best? Do you hate the originals? I'd actually like to see someone that hates the original trilogy just to see why. Like, that'd be interesting. Or someone that loves the prequels the most of them, or even someone that hates all of them. That'd be insane if you hate every Star Wars movie. That'd actually be kind of funny. If you like watch them and you hate every single one of them, that'd be insane. Do you like the Clone Wars movie the best? That one's like the most underrated. Like, no one talks about it ever, which is fair because it's not the best. But whatever, whatever. Uh, yeah. Um, what do you think of the spin-offs? Do you like The Mandalorian? Do you like Rogue One? What do you think of Phantom Menace? Like, just let me know what you think, because it's gonna be very interesting in the comments. Um, you either like Star Wars or you don't, so that's how it is. But yeah, this was a big video. This is a big video. I didn't expect it to go on for this long, but it's kind of a bonus. Why not? Have something long to listen to. You don't even have to watch this. It's just discs. You can just listen to it. Or like a podcast. Um, I think if I'm going to do any other rankings, it probably would be split up into two parts, probably. That would probably be a little bit better for the future. Um, yeah, it's kind of the first time I've actually talked about the Star Wars movies on the channel. I haven't really done it before. I don't know why. I swear I haven't done it before. Maybe I did in the past when I first started, but I don't know. I don't think I did. But that's it. Let me know what you think. What are you doing for May 4th? You doing something fun? Doing something cool? Watching something? Building something? Buying something? What are you doing? Dressing up? Let me know. Having a lightsaber fight? Going to a theme park? What are you doing? Let me know. And what do you think of Star Wars? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think Lucas should have kept Lucasfilm? Do you think Disney's been running it well? I'm mixed on it. I think Disney's done some great stuff with Star Wars, but they've also done some not so great stuff. So, yeah, it's kind of a gamble, I guess. But I think eventually I'll review all these movies. They'll probably be long videos. Just, I have a lot to say on Star Wars in general. In fact, one of my next videos, I might actually do my history with the franchise. I think that might be a little shorter. It'll be a podcast at some point. I'll do that. But let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Sorry this was so long, uh, but also I don't care because it's my own video. So, yeah. I figured I never do any May the 4th content. I'll do something this year. So this is it. Let me know what you think. Thank you. And that's really all I have to say. Stay tuned for more content, for sure, and more edited content for sure in the summer. I'll definitely try my best to get that started. That's it. Once again, I never know how to end these. Um, but thank you for watching. Please let me know your thoughts on this franchise in the comments in a good way, okay? Let's be civil. Show me your ranking. Tell me your thoughts. And I'll see you in the next one. Happy May 4th. May the 4th be with you, of course. And I will see you for Revenge of the 5th, which is coming up very soon. Or Revenge of the 6th? I think 6 works better. But anyway, that's it. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.